Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
All right, it's 5:30. We'll open the meeting. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of North Yuba Water District, July 2023, on July 27th. Can I have a call to order, please? It's 5:30 exactly.
President Frank here. Vice President Plum.
Present.
Director Boza.
Here.
Director Ronenberg.
Here.
Director Wright.
Here.
Thank you. Director Plum, may I ask you for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. That gets us to item C, opportunity for public comment. Am I forgetting something? No, it's good, right? Yeah. Okay. Opportunity for public comment. At the beginning of a regular meeting, for topics not on the agenda, the public has an opportunity to address the district board. Public comment is limited to no more than 4 minutes per person, 20 minutes total for all speakers. So I would like to see how many people would like to comment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that'll lead to it being 3 minutes per person. All right, can we start with Pete Pillsbury?
Sure. I'd like to start with a note that my dad, Pete Sr., sent along with me. I just wanted to read to you. He says, I've been an irrigation customer of the district for nearly 50 years and have seen many ups and downs in the district. Under the leadership of the current board and manager, it looks like the district is moving in a positive direction. Thank you for your vision and what you do to make it happen. I wanted to add to that, specifically thanks to you guys for changing the culture and creating an environment where the staff that do the work in here can be as responsive, as interested in solving my problems and everybody else who walks through these doors. They'll spend as long as I want talking to me, and I really, really appreciate that. I think you guys really deserve it. Thanks for that. I wanted to talk about private lines. My property is served by a 4,000-foot, 6-inch line that was built 50 years ago. It serves a bunch of properties. Right now, there's 4 customers on it. One of them is getting their water. And I had some suggestions of things that we might be able to do to make these private lines work better. One of them is require a formal organization or association that is running that private line, including a statement of bylaws, some kind of organization definition that is voted on and met about fairly regularly. Establish line masters. So the association would select an individual to be a line master for that private line. A benefit to the district is that person could be a point of contact, reduce the number of phone calls from people who have questions about what's going on in their own private line. That line master becomes the interface with the water district. Somehow empower those line masters to be able to do what they need to do to enforce the line rules and water usage parameters. And lastly, require some kind of approved, I don't know what that looks like, metering device to help enforce the usage method of the water. So if people aren't trying to use pressure, you don't have, it just creates a mess. But so that I think is a big deal. I have some examples of that. We have one that hasn't been enforced. It's from a 50-year-old guy. The other thing I wanted to touch on was line maintenance resources. So right now we're having problems with our line. I don't know whether it's got a plug in it, obstructed. I don't know whether it has a leak in it. I don't know whether somebody is taking too much water. I think I have a handle on who's using it and how they're using it, and I'm controlling that. So we're down to, after about 3 weeks of struggling with this thing and trying to figure it out, that we have a leak somewhere. But I have no idea myself how to go about fixing that. I know that years ago, 30 years ago, Jay McGill had a compressor card and would help us flush the line out with that. He's long gone. Nobody else knows how to do that. So some kind of like a knowledge base of how to help the line masters. Time's up.
Would you be able to wrap it up?
Yes. One more thing. I understand that our discussion about water had been reduced through a redefinition of miner's inch. And I just wanted to comment, because my system is designed to run on a certain amount of water. Reducing the water is difficult. So if there is a solution to whatever the difficulties are around that, raise the rates if that's what we need to do. That would be better. That's my
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who else wants to comment again? Donna?
Thank you. I would like this letter in the record, in the meeting minutes, if possible, please. I believe many actions and/or many questions helped return irrigation water to Dobbins and Oregon House. Actions or advice given to communities that taught us, gave us knowledge and fortitude to hang in, continue to fight for our water. I want to thank Todd Hickman, Hickman Winery, Bangor, California. He stood by us, he schooled us, he encouraged us. He listened to our frustration and anguish time and time again. He gave us remarkable support for 2 to 3 years. I think he believes in successful communities, successful business. We, meaning all of us, visited Mr. Hickman for advice for a period of 2 to 3 years' time. The South Feather Board and management also believe in community and are awesome in commitment to success for all. To my shame, our shame, those that did not want irrigation water return discovered that Mr. Hickman was helping us. They took action, found a way to falsely discredit Mr. Hickman. He lost his seat on the South Feather Board of Directors. We owe him every consideration. We owe him respect. We owe him gratitude. We owe him for standing with us, for teaching us how to fight for the betterment and success of the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Charles? Charles?
I'm
Mr. Matthews?
Charlie Matthews. I'm your representative on the water agency for the North District. Welcome to my phone number. Phone me anytime. I'm also not here to give advice because I'm an old person that is told it's hard to give advice to people that haven't asked for it. But having said that, I've served on many boards, and the board, and I would like to compliment what you have accomplished in 6 months, and including the staff. You've made an unbelievably good start. My only suggestion would be to you, I've served on many boards, and board governance or board, I'm not sure the right word. You have an outside person come in after you. It just talks about how good, well-managed boards are successful. And I would encourage you to think about doing that for your new board. doesn't mean I know anything. It means I've been around the water. Be happy to answer any questions anytime you have questions. Please make a phone. Give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
There's a loud recording. Alrighty. Charles.
Thank you. No podium. Anyway, Charles Sharp, Oregon House, a water district customer. I believe this meeting is being live streamed on Yuba-Sutter Live. Hello, Ted. The water is flowing. The water is flowing and improvements are being made. Customers seem happy. What does the water say? The water would say it wants to be safe and secure. When your legal counsel won Dr. Flores' lawsuit, he got the district to pay her legal fees. He also quickly settled with the fellowship for all their legal fees. This attorney, who used to be my attorney and knows me well, does not want to settle for all my legal costs. Could he know me so well that he's taking advantage of that knowledge? I do not think I can get a fair consideration from this attorney. In 2019, Leona was instructed by Manager Malkin to change 11.2 gallons per minute to 10 gallons per minute without board approval. This was illegal. Legal counsel says that since nobody filed a lawsuit within 90 days, this rate increase is now legal. All I know is that before 2019, I was paying $63.33 for 11.2 gallons a minute. And now that amount has been reduced to 10 gallons a minute. Somehow I feel wrong. Resolution 23776 is targeted at Director Wright. It implies if you so much as say hello with the wrong tone of voice to Heidi or Leona, they will shout harassment, and you will be on your own to defend yourself. They will be coming from people that turn a blind eye to this illegal activity to keep their jobs. Here is the smoking gun, which actually is a legal gun pointed at Director Wright to keep him quiet or else. Legal counsel has been weaponized against a board member because he wants to consolidate the South Federal. Incredible, Machiavelli himself would be in awe of such legal intrigues. The lawsuit with South Federal has no merit. In continuing this lawsuit, is it a kind of a poison pill to stop consolidation? The Northeast Water District cannot achieve security for the water. The district is broken. It is broken beyond repair. Falling on their sword and saying for the water will be an extraordinarily noble gesture. Consolidation means to end the North Yuba Water Districts within the North Yuba Water District government problems. Consolidation means more water than the 2005 agreement could ever allow. Consolidation means saving $2 million a year to put toward beneficial use in infrastructure. Consolidation means interconnectivity with Bangor treatment plant. Consolidation means the water is safe and secure with unified governance and protection for the watershed.
Could you
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vinci, please.
Thank you. Greeting, public, board. Kind of almost just like heard what I really wanted to kind of hear, and I really hope the staff heard it. Because I've addressed it before. I even said it once before. I really think this board is very unique. I think it has a lot of qualities that can make a great team. I don't like to use sports analogies because it doesn't always get to the intelligence of the meeting, but I'm going to do it to try to be fast. I like everything I heard from Donna, this gentleman right here. I think were some key points to what transpired and has been going on in Charlie over here. Mr. Wright, kind of know your background. I think you could bring a lot to this table. Ms. Plum, I don't really know you, but I've really watched and observed you, and I've seen you that discussion take place, and I really appreciate that. I think that's the key, no matter a person's opinions about is such. Mr. Steve, I think you probably could have an education that most people don't have, and to me, it's more valuable than any true university degree, and it's really honing common sense and working within a team. Ms. Vernon, I think you were a very sincere person about just water in general. So thank you. And Ms. Boza, it's great to have a traditional family name here. So along with that, to say the staff of Winona and how a team works. Now, people might like basketball, football, baseball, what have you. A unique one is baseball, an American pastime, because it's an individual sport, but it's also a team sport. People like individual sports because they control the power within it, but you play football, then you got to really depend on each individual. And when you have a good manager or a coach, that per se our intern right now, what makes it so comforting, I said before, and I thank this board for having her with us right now during a transition, no matter how your minds may be made up. But please think about when my mother, my auntie, my neighbors, with the loss of our family members, to reach out to a local that knows the families like that, that's a very comforting feel for us. And the last thing that I spoke about last time, this is the thing that just freaks me out most. We all get it. It's that junk mail from realtors, and these are from even out of state. So that's why I say, just not on the political sense, just always go conservatively minded, because we get too many straws in the cup. Who knows what the future has? You guys have a tough game, right? 4 strikes you out because it's politics. So your campaign season is like only 2 years to what you could do. So with people today, for stuff to really, for America to function, especially on the small scale, we got to really not personally attach each other when we lead. We got to show respect and civility amongst people that live here, because too many of y'all get personally attacked, and that's just nonsense.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm here to speak to 2 concerns. I don't recall seeing Ann, Steve, or Gloria when I sat on the board, and I'm concerned that the 3 of you may lack some vital information, and I don't mean that as a criticism. The N1WD community owes South Feather an enormous debt of gratitude. For the last 12 years, South Feather was painted as an enemy and was presented to the public as the obstacle to delivering water. The previous compromise board and organization sold the community a bill of goods, blaming South Feather for their trials and tribulations. Despite all of this, South Feather responded to pleas from North Yuba public who attended South Feather's meetings, asking South Feather to reduce their take of water in the ditch so maybe NYD could get some water. Not only did South Feather reduce their take of water in the ditch year after year, South Feather offered substantial assistance to repair the Forbes County irrigation ditches, for which North Yuba had completely abdicated responsibility. South Feather took these actions and made these offers, despite the never-ending smear campaign and unjustified and frivolous lawsuit mounted against them by South Feather, or by North Yuba. South Feather did what was in the best interest of the community. South Feather cared about the people, the North Yuba people. They did this under the leadership of the general manager, Rick Mosley, and Todd Hickman, then president of the board of South Feather. Both men paid a substantial personal price for the help that they not only offered, but gave to this community. If none of you have attended a South Feather meeting, I urge you to do so. You will see the level of attention, respect, and care South Feather extends towards the public. South Feather answers people's questions. They don't stare at a stopwatch while people are speaking. They pay attention and they act on people's concerns, even people they don't give service to. Mary Mosley is a man of the highest integrity, with a vast wealth of knowledge and experience. Mr. Hickman led his board in responding and assisting the North Yuba community. The community owes them the highest regard and endless appreciation. I'm also here to urge this board to request South Feather to take over North Yuba. I know that may sound like a pretty radical idea, but it's not. When I met with the state agency in Sacramento in 2019, I left there knowing there was only one solution. You may hear from various sources that South Feather is not interested. It's important to remember that the general manager cannot act or speak except at the direction of his board. It's as with any general manager, when confronted with direct questions, he won't be able to commit to anything. That's not his role, and he has received no direction. Anyone claiming they have inside knowledge of what South Feather's interested in does not have that inside knowledge, because no one does. Formed in 1952, North Yuba has a decades-long history of extremely poor decisions based on acquiring money and power, which what has not been a priority is the community. The two state requirements the permits issued were build infrastructure and put all the water to beneficial use. In 75 years, no attempt was made to build infrastructure or put the water to beneficial use. It's too late now. The time has run out. North Yuba exists, I will. North Yuba exists solely because of power revenues paid out by South Feather. North Yuba is not a solvent entity without South Feather. It's time for the board and agency to unify with South Feather. There are enormous benefits. Access to 885,000 acre-feet of water, expansions of services, higher salaries, and a regional watershed approach. Please put the interests of the community first and petition South Feather to take over the district. It's in the best path forward for the community.
Thank you very much. We have one speaker left.
What I have to say is pretty simple. I've been a user of water through a vineyard lease that I'm offered and I have for the last 12 or 13 years. And as you all know, we all know that it's been very rocky in terms of water. We have sustained significant monetary damages because of the mismanagement of the previous board. And all I have to say is that what we have seen with this new board is an amazing turnaround, and I'm very grateful for it. I like the atmosphere. I like everything that is happening. We have problems with the supply of water, and there are communications back and forth to adjust the level, and it's working. And this is really all that I'm hoping for. And I would encourage everybody here to focus on making small steps together in the right direction. We need to, in a way, switch from years of activism and trying to get rid of, break through the dam of the old board into a place where there is a board that understands the mission of providing water for people to use it. And that needs to keep working together. I hope you will hold together and keep working together and help us, your users, to have water. And the ideas, I'm not familiar with all the thoughts behind the consolidating into South Feather and all of this. I don't have an opinion in the matter. But I do have an opinion that before making huge changes like that, I would focus on the simple things that we know we need to do right here in our backyard, because we know what our problems are, and we may not be able to solve them. And then look for more significant, heavy weapon to address them. But I wouldn't start there. I would start with simple, small steps in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That gets us to item D, opportunity for public comment for topics on the agenda. And I just saw in the chat that Aaron Hasty would like to do. Aaron Hess.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Or, if I could finish my sentence, I would like to see if anybody else has topics, public comment for topics on the agenda, so I could see how many people fit in the 20 minutes. Thank you. So, Aaron, you have 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll try to make this really quick. I just wanted to say hello. My name is Erin Hess. I'm the president of Sierra Muzzleloaders, and I know that our topic is on the agenda later on. So I wanted to thank the board for allowing us to submit our proposal and for considering it. And if there are any questions during that portion of the agenda, I am here available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that gets us to a little bit of a walk around, because now we'll have a short, I believe it's a short closed session. Since it's hot outside, public is more than welcome to stay hanging there. The board shall move to the back room where we will speak with the affiliate. And we'll be right back.
Did they actually destroy the podium sign?
I think so. I think I actually wrote.
We need to have someone. I do much better if I have something to hold on to. Yeah. I'm old. I own infrastructure.
Actually, I ain't in my life. I know.
Drop it off.
I went to the state. And one heard from me about what I wanted to hear.
Well, you told me for many years I really disliked them.
And the problem is that permits are temporary and they're based on a key where we want to do things. Here's what we're going to custom. Here's how much custom. The state will grant that temporary is on the condition. And use infrastructure, but they don't use warranty. At this point, one of those permits is being converted to a license, which there's no revoking, there's no going back, there's no renegotiating on the license. That license is for $2,700. The rest of it, you're going to issue a permit for. But the clock starting in 2004.
No, I haven't fully made up my mind.
And so even when you issue it, that's a breakdown. So there's literally 18 years left. They're not going to be able to do it because here's the other thing. So forget the fact that we would be billions of dollars in internal to build this infrastructure. The other problem is that all of the water currently being sold to civil water city is not beneficial use. It's not even allowed. It's grandfathered in right now. If North Yuba went back to the state to renegotiate the permit, they would tell them that they can't sell that water to the city. This was their main revenue, aside from the hydropower. The other thing is that the hydropower division is also not very, but there's a contract for you that they get to use that water for hydropower, which is what the water agency since 2010. North Yuba has a budget, recent budget that just passed for $1.4 million. Their revenue, if they don't have South Feathers power revenues, the revenue for North Yuba is about $500,000. That's with the Yuba sales and taxes. So this is not a solvent organization. If there's a, if
at one time, I think we
it
all
becomes one district, one watershed,
I don't totally understand all this.
now you can interconnect the entire system and the 880,000 acres of water. And that it different South Feather has, because if they gave it to this in the agreement, they have to take care of this skills of people. So they buy, because the $2 million that North Yuba has been taking care of, $20 million has gone into this money in the last 12 years for nothing except, oh, we've got low shares. That money can go back into infrastructure. And you have all the resources available at South Feather.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
You could change if. Yeah. North Yuba loses its water rights. So if they can use the situation, nothing. And the county, so in 13 years, they're gonna lose it. And so now, they want to talk to somebody and say, hey, we want you to take this over. We want all of your assets available to us, we're giving the resources available to us. Because at that point, because we still have something to bargain with. 13 years ago, there was a need of bargaining. And it will take some time, right? This kind of stuff doesn't happen completely. So it would take some time for some other to come in, and they would be doing a lot of work. They would be one of the person who would come in. They've already, I know everyone's thinking this board, but some of them are just providing person counsel and training and expertise to fix all these things, right? And South Tether had actually offered to do that at cost to your family work done. So the reality is they've been in those community all along. And I know it's personal cost.
It's very much given work on it.
And this is the only solution. I walked out in 2019. This is the only not the district. That's not what matters. It's the community. So it's the only long-term solution. Not only with their neighbors, it's irrigation, much more water available, standard domestic service, also fire prevention. Series of cisterns. It's one of the things when I was on the board, I was meeting with the South Tether board, and he was just interested as I was, and we would get together and we would talk about what our ideas were, how can we protect this community from fire, and that was one of the ideas is, building a series of systems.
Ahead on this week's CAL FIRE Report, exposure to unrelenting heat can lead to illness. The warning signs you should know to prevent heat stroke. Important tips about fireworks to keep you and your family safe this 4th of July holiday. The homemade devices that some may mistakenly think are fireworks. CAL FIRE's Arson and Bomb Unit explains why those devices are extremely dangerous. Thank you for joining us on this Monday, July 3rd, 2023. I'm Captain Robert Foxworthy. Here are the emergency incident statistics for this year so far. CAL FIRE is currently working a fire northeast of Stockton in Calaveras County. Crews are continuing to strengthen control lines around the 105-acre Gann fire and currently have it at 60% contained. Let's take a look at the weather across the state. In northern areas of California, the potential for fire is elevated, especially in those lower elevations because of drier and warmer conditions. In the southern part of the state, a combination of hot, dry, and breezy conditions mean a higher risk for fires, especially in the deserts. Be sure to do your part to prevent wildfires by being fire safe where vegetation is present. With the summer heating up, it is important to protect yourself and your loved ones from illness linked to the heat. Continued exposure to excessive heat can be deadly, so pay attention to the warning signs. Here are some tips to help you stay cool.
Remember to apply sunscreen and wear sun-protecting clothing. Sunburn dramatically affects your body's ability to cool down and can make you dehydrated. Drink plenty of fluids. Drink early and often before you get thirsty. Know the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Immediately move to a cooler or shaded area, remove outer clothing, and provide drinking water. If a person is experiencing serious signs of heat stroke, call 911 immediately and apply ice as soon as possible.
Ensure your 4th of July festivities don't ignite a fire. If fireworks are allowed where you live, make sure to take the necessary precautions.
Hi, I'm Bryce with CAL FIRE. The 4th of July is known for sun, fun, barbecuing, and fireworks. But each year, many injuries and fires are caused by fireworks. So that you can enjoy your celebration in a safe and legal manner, here are a few tips to keep you safe this 4th of July. If fireworks are not legal where you live, do not use them. In communities where they are legal, buy only state fire marshal approved. Look for the Safe and Sane seal on the firework. Have a bucket of water and hose handy in case of a fire. Always read directions and have an adult present. Remember that parents are liable for any damages or injuries caused by children using fireworks. Use fireworks outdoors only. Use common sense and keep a safe distance. Never attempt to relight or fix fireworks. Besides being illegal, sparklers can reach temperatures of over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Consider using safer alternatives such as glow sticks, confetti poppers, or colored streamers. Remember, Safe and Sane fireworks are only safe when used as intended. For more information about fireworks safety, check out fire.ca.gov.
Did you know that CAL FIRE's Arson and Bomb Unit responds to the highest volume of calls for illegal explosives in the state? In June, the unit collaborated with Beale Air Force Base to safely dispose of hundreds of pounds of confiscated illegal explosives. In this video, the Arson and Bomb Unit discusses the most dangerous items they deal with.
We've met up with the EOD team out here, and it's for a disposal of illegal explosives. Throughout the state, we manage fireworks disposal, and that includes commercial display fireworks 1.3, that includes 1.4 classified fireworks, which would be your consumer fireworks, both Safe and Sane and other items that would be considered dangerous fireworks in California. But that also includes these types of items that are sometimes referred to as fireworks, but are actually homemade explosives. These are probably the most dangerous items that we deal with. They may look like something that is a consumer brand firework, but they are unregulated. So there's no telling how much of explosive force it has, how well it was built, whether it's damaged, whether there are other items in it. They're completely unknown. And so that's why we have to be so careful with the disposal of them and the handling of them. But for the public, it's very dangerous purchasing these, traveling with these, using them, because these can cause injury or death, and they do every year.
For the latest updates on large wildfires, visit our website at fire.ca.gov and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And for tips on how to protect your family and home in a disaster, visit readyforwildfire.org. That's the CAL FIRE Report for July 3rd, 2023. I'm Captain Robert Foxworthy. Thank you and have a safe week.
And I don't agree with that. So I'm gonna go and find out stuff. And when I started going through the videos, I was blown away by what I saw. Therefore, does it sit there with a stopwatch when someone is speaking? They let them say this piece. And let them have the answer. And if you have a recommendation, not only do they take it into account, they actually act on it and they get back to you. So that's phenomenal.
My grandmother used to tell us that when we go horseback riding, backward, flag, so.
No, because they're there. See, here's the thing. There's a difference in perspective. South of their duty understands that they are public servants. They're there to serve the public. They don't put time limits on people.
Actually, they probably do. Yes. They have it, but they don't enforce it.
They don't enforce it. If you go there, I used to go to, first of all, I was director of Division 4. And I went to South Coast board meetings for 3 years. The only reason she's sitting here is because I knew. Right. Otherwise, I would still be there. Because I turned it in 2020. I would have, yeah. Because of the job I work full-time. No, I work a full-time job. I get a PhD in biology. I'm an environmental consultant. And I work full-time. And so because of my job, I had to move physically my home. And that made it so that I had to visit. In other words, I do all types of work around
On August 29, 2022, the Williams Creek Fire was ignited by lightning in north central Idaho's Gospel Hump Wilderness on the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest. Even after an aggressive initial attack by Forest Service smoke jumpers, aerial and other firefighting resources to contain it, the blaze continued its destructive path into the small town of Oro Grande, eventually growing to nearly 18,000 acres.
One of the issues that we faced at that time was the fire had been on the landscape for 8 to 10 days, and then we had some adverse weather set up that aligned the fire with the town and the wind direction, and so it just pushed it right down the canyon to the town itself.
Winds up to 70 miles per hour caused the fire to uproot swaths of mature pine and fir stands and devoured areas of the forest that had not burned in a century. When the smoke cleared, one residence and a few outbuildings had been lost, but the town's remaining structures were left undamaged. For the most part, Oro Grande had been battered, but spared.
So when we're initially attacking a fire or our initial response, one of the first things that any of our firefighters are going to look for is areas that had work done to it to increase our chance of success in that mission.
Seasoned firefighters quickly realized that projects to reduce hazardous fuels that had occurred in the area in the years prior to the fire had paid off. Between 2016 and 2020, federal, state, and local officials came together with members of the Oro Grande community and the Nez Perce tribe to log, thin, remove, and proactively burn decades worth of forest fuels because of the known wildfire risk to the community.
Fuels reduction work is critical in our ever-changing response to wildfires, where fires now are much more aggressive, burning much more rapidly, and these fuels reduction projects in and around values at risk, whether it be communities or any infrastructure that we are working to protect, are critical in the success of that mission.
The Williams Creek Fire was an example of how fuels mitigation projects benefit the community in providing a positive outcome. We could have lost a lot more structures if those mitigation efforts hadn't been put in place.
When I first come up here decades ago, you could tell it's just lush and green and vibrant. But decades later, all the dead trees and dead vegetations and things, you could just tell that it was a tinderbox. And it concerned me greatly. So when I found out that they had gone and done a fuel reduction, at first I was against, but it's like, no, this is a good thing. So when the fire broke out, and I knew about that, I thought, well, we'll see. But I was watching everything as the fire came barreling over the hill. And I saw it pretty much stopped. I mean, that little bit of break, I didn't believe that it would have helped, but I actually saw it working. We had our
open action calendar. Item F, public report of actions taken in closed session, is we met with legal counsel and gave instructions. That gets us to item G, which is the annual audit report for 2021, 2022. And we did mic check owing to, so we're hoping that the technical difficulties from last month are history. Mr. Blomberg.
That's what I'm hoping too. So, hopefully that looks like I'm coming through loud and clear. Good. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Good evening to all. I'm John Blomberg from Blomberg and Griffin Accountancy Corporation, here to present the independent audit for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022. We did have a few minor changes that probably are not in your copy, but it was just of a clerical nature, so it did not change any of the numbers. So, but those changes were made. In addition to the audit, we also have assisted the district with the year-end, some of the year-end adjustments, depreciation schedule, as well as the completion, preparation, and e-filing of the state controller's report, very similar to the prior year. So nothing new there, but the controller's report continues to be, it's not a challenge for us. However, it is more complex than what has been in the past. They ask for more information and have more, just more detail that you have to provide. But The controller's report, it's not complete until the audit is actually filed with the controller. But as far as the audit goes, yeah, everything went very smooth. Complete cooperation from district staff, as in the past, and appreciate the help of especially Heidi and the district staff on providing the information. And we were on site. I was on site with a staff member for a couple of days doing the field work, and I know a lot of, or some audits are done remotely. I certainly prefer the on-site field work. I think it's just far better and than the remote audits. As far as the opinion, that shows up on page 1, the independent auditor's opinion. And it follows the same format as the prior year. The prior year was the first year, I believe, of the new format for the auditor's opinion. And it brought the actual opinion paragraph from the second page over to the very front, very first page. Once again, a clean opinion, no qualifications, which is good news. And so that continues to be the case there. The rest of the report is standard wording and sets forth responsibilities of the auditor and the district as far as the actual engagement. Page 4 begins the management's discussion and analysis. That is a summary of the basic financial statements, and that's pretty straightforward. And also has the contact information on page 7. I think that remained the same. Page 8 is the first basic financial statement covered by the opinion. That's the statement of net position. It's in comparative format showing 21 and 22. There's one major difference, which is evident on page 9, which is the statement of revenues. That's the increase in general operating expenses under the general and administrative and general expenses, which is primarily the legal costs. And I'm sure you're aware of that. But that's something, obviously, and I'm sure you've already been doing this, is keeping an eye on that and hopefully try and find ways to reduce those costs as they've been increasing from a year-to-year basis. This is, of course, fiscal year 6/30/22, which is over a year ago. And so this is not the current financial position of the district, but that's the nature of audit reports. They're historical in nature. Page 10 is the statement of cash flows. Statement of cash flows shows how the district's cash changed from the prior year to the current year. They're about the middle of the page shows the net decrease in cash. But there again, and the main reason is the increase in the general administrative costs, legal expenses. Page 11 is similar to the prior reports, which is the notes to the financial statements. Notes to the financial statements provide additional information about the basic financial statements. And there's no big changes there. Page 14 shows some detail regarding the cash balances as they were on June 30th of 22 compared to June 30th of 21. 15 shows some restricted county cash accounts, the various account balances there. Part of at least our procedures, which is generally I think followed in by most auditors, is to issue a draft of the audit report. And we went through that process where we issue the draft and then management reviews the draft of the audit and comes back with questions or actual changes, or do we need to change anything in particular. There was an issue regarding a couple of changes that we needed to make. We made those, which kind of probably stretched out the process longer than it would have otherwise been. But there again, that's in the normal course of the audit. So 16, page 16, more detailed information about the receivables and the capital assets. But no, nothing out of the ordinary there. 17, accounts payable and the beginning of the retirement plan note. And 18 is the South River Power Project note, which I don't think there was any big changes there. And page 20 is detailed information about the net position. The total net position, this detailed statement actually ties in with the statement of net position, which is on page 8. And you can see that the total net position, 8,976,149 on page 20, actually ties in with the equals the total net position that's reported on the statement of net position on page 8. That's just additional. I know there's been a lot of changes to the district since June 3rd to 22. So the directors and so forth would be updated in the next audit. Any questions?
I do, on page 5. When it says fiscal year 2021, during the year ended June 30, 2021, the district's net position decreased by 393,728. Then jump down 1, 2, 3 lines, and it says the district's net position increased by 393,728. So am I reading something wrong? Is it the same words where it's saying it decreased on one line and then jumping down the same number increase? Do you see that?
I'm looking at that here. Let's see here.
Under 2021.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, it could be an error in the. As far as, because if it's let's see, it looks like on the fiscal year 21, looks like it would be an increase. But let's take a look at page 8. Let's see here. Or rather, page 9. Yeah, page 9, it's showing a decrease on page 9, which is, that's what it should be, a decrease. So.
And that does match back, isn't it?
Yeah, even on page 5, the numbers after the possible typo, the numbers do decrease. So it could have been, with good catch. Could have been.
It should be a decrease there.
Yeah.
Good catch, nice.
I'll make note and make that correction.
Thank you.
Anybody else questions?
I've got a couple. Somebody else does.
Go ahead.
Do you have any, Marika?
No, I don't.
So I'm trying to find, because I had my questions set for last meeting, and I saw that there was a 32% reduction in current assets year to year. I just was wondering if you found that alarming at all, or standard practice, or?
Well, obviously that's a big decrease, and it is reflected in the statement of revenues, where they're showing a decrease in net position. So as far as that decrease, well, what decreased? Well, cash balance decreased. And you can see that on page 8, as far as cash in the county going from 2.9 down to 1.9 million.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's
more about if you found that a bit alarming, and it sounds like you felt that it was significant, but nothing for us to be worrisome about.
it. Yeah, it's certainly significant, and it would be very significant and a major concern if it continued year after year after year, because obviously eventually the district runs out of money.
Right.
But the
you compared it to the previous audit, what the difference was? Do you recall? If you don't, that's fine.
You know, I don't recall offhand what that was in the prior. No, the prior from 20 to 21. Yeah, I don't remember what that was, but yeah, it's obviously, and I pointed this out earlier, as far as the statement of revenues, the big increase in the general administrative expenses obviously is something to be concerned about.
So I have a couple other questions that are a bit more, maybe not so exacting, and you may or not have an opinion or not, and that's fine, you don't have to answer. I am curious, we're going to be dealing with the 2023 pretty big severance severance pay that was paid out. How is that handled in the audit? Is that just, where does that fall? I'm curious. It's just standard out of overhead, or is there anything significant to it, or what?
Well, it falls in the statement of revenues and expenses under operating expenses. Okay. So that's obviously going to increase the operating expenses.
Right. Okay, I'll hold on the rest of my questions. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Just a matter of order. We approved the audit report, right? So,
right.
After the questions and answers, I make a motion to approve the independent auditor's report for 2021-2022. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have discussion?
You can ask the questions. I think we're good.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. President Renee?
Yes.
Vice President Plum?
Yes.
Director Boza?
Yes.
Director Monenberg?
Yeah.
Director Wright?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That brings us to item G, which is the Blomberg & Griffin independent audit proposal for 2023 through 2025. The board will discuss and possibly take action to approve Blomberg & Griffin's independent audit proposal for 2023 through 2025. Fiona, could you let us know a little bit?
Marika, that's item H.
Item H. I am so sorry. I didn't put my glasses on time. Item H. We did item G already. So before you have an independent audit proposal for the next few years. If you have some questions for staff about it, then this would be a good moment.
Is this what we've paid about in the past for the audits? 10,000 a year? Yeah, it's a standard.
Anybody else a question?
Of staff?
Yes. Okay, anybody else? Any other questions?
I have a comment.
Would you like to read your comment?
Are we into comment now for the directors on this item?
Well, we are. I understand that this independent audit proposal. Could you tell us where you recommend us to approve it? Would you like this?
I would recommend recommend approving it. He's been doing it. He's very comfortable. We're comfortable with him. He comes up and does it in person, which is a lot better than most of them do anymore. He knows where everything is. It saves a lot of staff time, and he gets it done in a very good amount of time because he knows everything. And him and Heidi work very well together. Heidi, do you have any comment?
No, other than I wanted to mention that he's been auditor for Browns Valley Irrigation District for many years as well. So
So that's a background on it. Thank you. If you would like to have your comments now, or if you would like to your comments after the motion.
I'll give my comment now. Directors, we need to continue to prove our efforts of turning over a new leaf at the district. We need to move past the old regime, its style of leadership and management policies and procedures. One of the past procedural problems at North Yuba was the lack of open bidding, securing multiple bids, little consideration of local vendors, and not allowing the public more input on how we spend their money. As such, I recommend that we open the bidding process for selecting a new auditor and not approve any new contract until we've reviewed other consultants' proposals. I would also like to see if we can solicit for an auditor who can also provide some strategic business guidance as an additional service. I held back on some of my questions because they were much more business oriented, and I just don't feel that the answers are going to be there. So that's what I'd like to put forward to the board to consider.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the contract? I make a motion to approve this contract. Do I have a second? Then we'll have to table this until further meetings. Thank you very much. Item I, consent items. There is approval of minutes for the regular board meeting of June 22nd, approval of payroll for the month of June 2023 in the amount of $64,680.32, approval of bills for the month of June 2023, $291,794.14. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
Second it.
Can we have a roll call?
President Bernay?
Approved.
Vice President Plum?
Approved.
Director Boza?
Approved.
Director Ronenberg?
Approved.
Director Wright?
Approved.
Thank you. Item J is staff reports and recommendations. The board will hear reports by district staff and receive their recommendations for future board action. And we'll start with the financial management report.
As of June 30th, 2023, total cash in our accounts, including reserves, was $4,634,942.86. Total income for the fiscal year to date, July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Total income was $5,156,100.72. Total expenses were $2,271,737.24. Revenue over expenses was $2,884,363.48. On top of that, the district spent expenses out of reserves and savings totaling $1,924,170.66 for the fiscal year to date. And the fiscal year to date is 1 year right now because it's from July 1st to June 30th. So that's it for 12 months. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. General Manager.
I have
Do you have some questions? Or you have a comment?
allowed?
Of course.
In reviewing the last few months of P&Ls, I went back up. Several of us ran on a platform of trying to reduce our legal needs and dependencies and to streamline such needs and dependencies and ultimately reduce the huge hit that we've been getting from legal over the past few years. If we look at our first, I think this is actually our eighth month of being seated, the legal fees are still running really high. And our interim counsel provides a spectrum, has been providing a spectrum of services beyond just legal. It seems that there's been HR support, administrative and managerial consultation, and communication services. I know in my business, I have to function in another role. I bill at a lesser rate. And I would just like to ask or see the thought, has there been any thought to negotiate a new contract with the interim legal counsel to provide some reduction of fees for those services that are non-legal in nature? So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then I'll go to general manager's reports and requests.
You guys have the operations memorandum. So I wanted to just touch on a few other things. The tank repairs. The Rackerby tank is scheduled to start the relining on September 18th. The Forbstown tank will be probably mid-October. We're not real happy with the date, but it's got to get done by the end of the year. So it's the way. The replacement of the challenge tank will be November, middle of November through December, where they have to tear down and rebuild, put up a whole new tank. Meter project, it is still on hold until the median household income study is complete. Median household income study, the proposal has been received, signed, and sent back with an amount on it not to exceed $9,986, which is actually half of the amount that it was last time we had one done. Last time it was $20,000. So, and that should be starting probably next week. I'll be sending them all the information to get that underway. VOC testing for volatile organic compounds. The first test will be Tuesday next week, October 1st. I think we're going to do them probably twice a year. And then I have a fire hydrant request. I'm looking to purchase one new fire hydrant. It's going to be about $5,000. That way the guys can, or the crew can go out and install that fire hydrant, pull off the old one, and rebuild it. The way it is now, fire hydrants turn off at the bottom, and when you turn the water on, it's supposed to go to the top, and when you turn it off, there's two holes that lets the water seep out so it doesn't freeze. Well, 90% of our hydrants now, when you turn it on, the holes stay open, so you also have two garden hoses that are shooting out the side, not just going out through the top where it's supposed to. So with one new fire hydrant, they can go around and put one on, rebuild, put one on, rebuild, and eventually we'll have them all back.
Awesome.
To, The treatment plant, aerators for the pond, they've been received and installation is underway. I'll keep you updated as we get it in. I know they just do a little bit at a time to start with, so it doesn't kill all the fish. The raw water pumps for the pond, they have both been repacked. One of them had lost its prime, so they had to go out and manually reprime it every time. The quote was for $1,400 to come up and do one. We decided to go and do both of them at the same time while they were there, so they were both done for a total of $1,600.
Wonderful.
And the bypass control valve operates the intake to the pond. It lets us know the amount of water coming in and it's attached to the SCADA. That is on order. The replacement is needed to keep it from having to be done manually. They're doing that one manually now too, which to me seems like a waste of time. And a chlorine probe that is also on order. It keeps the chlorine calibrated measures chlorine residual in the water and alarms when it's high or low. It is mandated by the state, and they're doing that manually now too. So the bypass control valve and the chlorine probe is probably going to be about $5,000 for both of them. I'm hoping that's okay.
Would you like us to vote on that? Like approve those purchases?
Probably a good idea.
I make a motion to approve.
Excuse me 1 moment. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Madam President, right now, the approval of those expenditures is not actually on the agenda. Yeah, no, it's not. It simply says this is going to be a part of the report. There is no indication to the public that you may take an action to actually approve them. So therefore, you really can't. Now, what you can do is the general manager, the acting general manager, can make such purchases based on her patterns and habits and customs of the past, and then come to you with a request for ratification. But right now, you cannot take an action on it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I direct to the manager? To make sure. The VOC testing, what was it before? How many times annually?
Once every 10 years.
Really?
Yes.
And you're upping it to twice a year?
Yeah, because if we have a wildfire that comes through, FEMA will not pay if you don't have a current one on file saying that you didn't already have the styrene and the benzene already in your system.
Right.
They'll say that, oh, it could have already been there. So with the area that we're in, I think it would be better to have it.
Great to hear. And then you said something about, we'll let you know if we killed the fish in pond. Are you talking about the holding ponds or downstream?
The treatment pond.
The treatment ponds, are fish in those treatment ponds? Yeah. That are coming from the Forkstown ditch, of course.
No, they've just always been in there.
But they were seeded by water from Forkstown ditch, probably, right?
I don't know.
But
put them in there previously.
Also overflow going down back behind into No Name Creek. That
no overflow. We haven't did that in years. The state has cut that off. There is
fishing on
we cannot still.
Okay, thanks.
I'm wanting to point out a number that I'm very happy with in transmission, where it speaks about Forkstown Ditch. I would like to point out or highlight that North US Irrigation at the Costa Creek turnout is receiving 5.39 CFS from the Forkstown Ditch at this point. What I was told by superintendent is for years that number was maximum 3. So the repairs that were done higher up on Forkstown Ditch are really making a big difference. And the Dobbins Organ House Canal was just measured last week. It's not written in here, but also the Dobbins Organ House Canal is running on 2 CFS less than it always was. So we can see that we're doing more with less water, and we're getting more water through that Forkstown Ditch. I just wanted to make a little point of that because that's
you're here maintenance.
I would just not use the words that I want to, but it's pretty amazing. So thank you for that. Anything else? Then the next staff report would be the district legal counsel's report. Go ahead.
I have nothing to add that we didn't discuss in closed session.
Thank you. We shall move on to item K, which is finance item. The board will discuss and possibly approve the County District Budget Form Schedule 13 for Treasury's funds. You found this in your board packet. Leona, would you be so kind to explain to us and the public?
Okay, I'm gonna pass that over to Heidi.
Okay.
Heidi,
so the district has some, if I could recall them, treasury funds with Yuba County. Some of them are from taxes that the county automatically deposits in the treasury funds. And then over the years, when the district received extra funds from South Feather, etc., and had funds left over, they left some of that money County was paying more interest than the district would have received by leaving the funds in the bank. Back then, most banks were paying less than 0.5%, etc. So the deal with treasury funds is that every time the district wants to pull money out of them, then you have to make out a warrant and it has to be signed by 3 board members. However, since Yuba County kind of would like to know how much money the district is planning on leaving in there for over 12 months, they expect the district to provide a budget. This budget that's in your package, this is telling Yuba County that the district thinks that it might have to take this amount of money out of those funds to cover the district expenses. So that kind of lets Yuba County know how to invest that money that's in the treasury fund. And there's a deadline that we have to, we would like to have this report by August 1st. So we kind of calculated that based on the funds that are still in there, based on the district budget, based on money that the district received from South Feather, that if the district decided to spend all the money that they had approved in the budget, this is the amount that we think we would have to pull out of the treasury funds to cover those expenses. So this is how we came up with this budget.
Thank you.
Also, on top of that, me and Leona have been talking to Wright County Bank, and it's optional. Like I said, the treasury fund budget is something that would have to be approved by August 1st. The Wright County Bank offers high interest certified deposits. I think Leona can tell you about that one.
Is it 4%?
Yeah, 4% for 7 months. Mm-hmm. So
the county gives what kind of percent?
Right now it's been, and this has been the highest that I've seen. It's about 2%, maybe 2.5%. But I think I asked them to give me a percentage, but they never got back to me. And I think it fluctuates. It'll probably be lower. Like I said, if they, think that they only gonna have this money for like 6 months. So, I think that's how they kind of base it on the interest rates on it. They kind of fluctuate back and forth. But on average, they have been higher than what they have been at we leave the money at the bank. Highest interest that we received from River Valley Community Bank is in money market account is 1.87%, and then in a checking account, of course, it's less than 0.5%. It kind of fluctuates back and forth too.
Okay. Thank you. If I may, I'm in the interest of finishing one item before going to the next one, I would like to make a motion to approve the Schedule 13 form, because it says after board approval. So the board needs to approve this form and a majority needs to sign it. I would like to get that done before next meeting, because it also says proof of approval will need to be attached with board minutes. That's too late, or that's next month only when the minutes are ready. So I make a motion to approve Schedule 13, and I would like to see if there's a question.
Can we have discussion before that? Because my question is about that schedule.
So if we do a motion and a second, then
okay, then we have
open for discussion. That's what it usually is. So who would second that?
I'll second.
Okay, and then discussion.
Okay. My question was, I don't know who to direct this to because I'm very cautious. I'm going to direct it to you. Director Renee. I heard the word kinda. Kinda came up with figures in regards to this document. And I want to make sure that these numbers match this budget that you all approved. These numbers in this column should marry back to this document in some manner. This is a budget that you all approved. I did not. So in accounting, my understanding, there's no kindas. Are these numbers in this column reflective of this budget?
I would like to move that question to financial manager, and what you asked me is if this budget for fiscal year for money in the county, does that reflect exactly the budget? This reflects.
For example, it says bills and payroll, 2023-24, 100,000. Does that 100,000 track back to $100,000 in this budget?
Excuse me, just
yes?
I'm trying to answer.
Okay.
So this reflects the payments that we have budgeted to come from reserves. These are monies in the county in reserves. Did I understand that correctly?
Yep, some of them are in reserves, and some of them are actually reflected in the budget as tax income.
Okay, so there is a tie back to this budget.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
But what we did is we had a sum, a total of operating expenses and expenses that are budgeted out of savings and reserves, and that total came up to $5,312,730.76. So then we looked at the district funds balance, what is in the checking account and the money market account and then the treasury funds. Then we figured if we take, and this is not, it's not in a new, because it happened after June as the district received some funds from South Haven. So we're thinking of putting 20% of that money in the reserves into the treasury fund. Then possibly invest, $500,000 to $700,000 to Strike County's bank, and then leave the remainder of the funds in River Valley bank checking. So when we added all that up, the difference between $5,312,730 less what we would have in a bank and in a bank River Valley and Tri-County's bank, it came up with a difference that we would need to pull out of the treasury fund.
Got it.
That's why we came up with that number.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call vote?
President Renee?
Approve.
Vice President Plum? Approve. Director Rosa?
Approved.
Director Lonenberg?
Approved.
Director Wright?
Approved.
Then before you all leave tonight, Leona, will you help us sign that so we don't forget in the pleasure of going home after a long meeting?
And does that need to be signed in blue ink? Does it have to be signed in blue ink? I know when we I know when we do it for the plan department, so they can tell it's not a photocopy.
All right, so I want to tap back to the other piece at hand where Leona wants to speak a little bit about the Tri-County Bank Certified Deposit CD. Thank you all.
So that's at 4%. Thank you. And it's a lot more interest than anywhere else we have the money. So in my mind, being a business person, I would like to request to be able to put $500,000 to $700,000 in there. It's a 7-month CD and collect the interest. That's like a short term. We're not going to need that hopefully by then, unless something catastrophic happens. And then, we can see, do we want to just roll it over? Do you want to pull it out, put it someplace else? But
so we'll be making double the interest.
Exactly. Yes.
I make a motion that we move the money over to tri-counties.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
President Renee,
Approve.
Vice President Plum,
Approve.
Director Rosa,
Approved.
Director Ronenberg,
Approved.
Director Wright.
Abstain.
Thank you. So the last item in finance is River Valley Bank Business Money Market Account. Heidi?
I never got a quote since we approved. That was only in case kind of as a comparison if the district wanted to rather transfer the extra money into the River Valley business account or the Tri-Counties bank, and since you just quoted that.
Tri-County paid.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, twice.
So we will not have to act on this. That I
No,
was surprised
I don't
also.
know if you decided how much money you wanted to move into that 7 months CP, and we was $7 million and $700,000.
And that there was no quote is the reason that there was no paper attached in the.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a question I had. Okay, thank you. So we'll move on. Item L, district website improvements. District administration has learned that the district website is out of compliance with state and federal law, including but not limited to the Americans with Disabilities Act. The board will discuss and possibly take action to authorize district administration to enter into a contract with one or more consultants with experience in assisting public agencies with these issues to bring the district website up to standard as soon as reasonably possible. I think it's important to see that the language in the item will gives us room to authorize Leona to enter into a contract with one or more consultants, and I'd like to give the word to Leona.
So I had a webinar with the company that is actually in the board packet, and they showed me a lot of different things that are out of compliance for ADA compliant, and their website was just a lot more user-friendly than the one we have now. I did add a page to the one we have now. It took me about 3 hours to figure it out because I couldn't call Wix and get any help or anything else. So I just, being kind of a stubborn person, I had staff and figured out how to do it. They have very good support. And it's kind of a click, drag and click to wherever. I don't know. I'd like to talk to a couple other people, I think, just to kind of see. I do know that they're recommended by the CSDA and a couple of the other places, AWWA. So they're not, it's someone that's very familiar with the companies that we also use. But I would just like permission to look around and to find somebody and get our website where it's a little more user-friendly for us and for other people.
So this is one quote, and you're going to talk to someone else and get another quote?
Yeah, it should be about the same amount. Yeah, or yeah, I can show you at the next meeting, or just it should be about the same amount.
So we can make a motion to authorize you to enter into a contract with one or more consultants, and that will be they need to have experience in assisting public agencies with these issues, and whatever contract, if it happens soon, the board will come back to the board for ratification. Did I understand that correctly?
Correct. Yes.
Correct. So I would make a motion to authorize the interim general manager Leona to enter into a contract with one or more consultants with experience in assisting public agencies to bring the district website up to standard as soon as reasonably possible. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Did the company instigate the solicitation, or did you reach out to them just green?
I actually see them at the conference.
Okay. All right.
In Monterey. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Have there been any public complaints so far about ADA compliance or legibility issues or things like that? Okay. So this is in my wheelhouse. I do this work, and I have a recommendation. I'm glad to hear that you're going to go out and get multiple bids. I recommend that we only undertake an ADA website scrub, only that right now, meaning improved typographic legibility and readability, which size, colors, knockouts, reverses, etc. An experienced independent web designer can do this work at far less, and they have at their hands, they have necessary tools that they have to use to ensure that those changes are ADA compliant, that a color on a color is legible, that a colorblind person is not going to have an issue. They have to do those things. You don't necessarily need to use a big company to do that, unless the big company is wanting to do a big web redesign with back-end in engineering and such. And I don't think we're at that stage. I believe it's very premature to undertake a real comprehensive project right now, and the ADA scrub makes sense. The reason why I believe it's really premature is we don't have in place a guiding philosophy of mission, vision, and values. Those sort of things inform how you show up, how you talk, how you sound, how you look and feel to your public. Having in place a business and marketing communication strategy would be real helpful too. Developing some guidelines around just these are the things we say, things we don't say, these are some of the key messages, these are some statements we say. Again, we don't have any of those things in place, and just having a web design company that does this comprehensive, more than likely redesign and back-end engineering for bells and whistles is going to cost money because they'll keep adding on, and we don't have the basic tenets to inform that type of expression of ourselves. And I really think there should be a board committee, Director Bernay, created that's out in the open to advise on this project to make sure it doesn't become something bigger than it should be, and to help with the process. That's what I advise. So.
Thank you.
Director Fernie, may I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Okay. I know that there are agencies out there, or there are companies that specialize in doing this work for public agencies specifically. And I trust our administration to be able to find such an agency. But I would like to emphasize to our administration that time is of the essence. We may not have had any complaints yet about ADA or any number of statutory requirements that we have for our website that I'm not aware of, because I rely upon those experts for the agencies that I've represented in the past. But they need to put us into compliance, because even though we've had no complaints, it's like having a big crack in your sidewalk. Maybe no one has tripped on it, but the moment they do, you're in trouble, and it can happen anytime. So I'd like to just urge our administration that time is of the essence. We need to get into compliance as soon as reasonably possible.
Make one more
Thank
comment?
you.
I want to make one more
Go
comment.
ahead.
Fortunately, I absolutely agree with you. So I agree with you, Mr. Boylan. Fortunately, we do not have a complicated website. There are not a lot of pages. There's not a lot of depth. There's not a lot of meandering to retool the ADA scrub. So it should be a fairly straightforward and easy scrub to become ADA compliant, and pretty fast too, once you put a designer on it.
Thank you. So back to the motion and second. Can we have a roll call, please?
President Bernay.
Approve.
Vice President Plum.
Approve.
Director Boza.
Now, that's a question in the middle of this.
Sure.
Are you going to look into what Olden said about the lesser thing? So that will be in your consideration when you decide.
Well,
and you'll talk to people to see.
Well, yeah, I plan on talking to a couple other places, and I'm definitely going to go with the cheapest.
Yeah.
But it has to not. Well, I'm not going to say that either. But because it has to be user friendly. as far as the scrub and the ADA, I think we really need
And
to get
user,
that done.
you use it.
Right,
Put the
but
stuff in there.
I
Yeah.
don't have time to try to, I mean, put the minutes and stuff on there is easy.
Yeah.
But as far as trying to recreate pages or add new content, if I want to put a picture on there, it's like pulling teeth.
Mhm.
So,
It's a pain, yeah.
well, yeah, I called, I never got any answers.
Do we have a content management system presently?
Of what?
A content management system that allows you or allows a web administrator to go on and enter content?
Well, let's not get
It
too
was-
far into the
It was
weeds.
Crystal and she's not there anymore.
The website's still under Crystal's name, so just get
Yeah.
It's all relative.
All right. I would like to get back to the vote if possible.
Then, as long as yes.
Director Ronenberg.
Yeah.
Director Wright.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item M, about litigation settlement. Paul.
Yes, as we know, the Sierra muzzleloaders, which is probably known to everyone in this room right now.
Sorry, I help you. Item M, litigation settlement.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me explain real fast. That is a mistake. It should not have been on the agenda yet, even though the parties have agreed to settle that lawsuit. It's not in the form yet. We haven't agreed on the exact wording of it. When that happens, I will bring that agreement to the board for consideration at another meeting.
Thank you. That's important. That gets us to item N, Sierra muzzleloaders.
Here we are. Okay. The Sierra muzzleloaders want to lease or license a piece of property the district owns. They have leased or licensed property in the past. They're coming back to us again. You have an agreement that's a model agreement. It's a suggested agreement that I've worked out with representatives of the Sierra muzzleloaders, but it's not finished yet. What is necessary at this point is that we get a sign off from the district's insurance carrier. If they're happy with it, we've got an agreement. If they've got problems with it, then Sierra muzzleloaders and we will discuss them and work our way around it and bring an agreement ultimately to you that satisfies their concern to have a range and a place where they can do their very worthwhile activities. But at the same time, if something goes wrong, God forbid, the district is indemnified and defended so that we don't have to suffer any financial consequences because of such accidents. As I said, we have no understanding or expectation that such accidents will occur. I am aware of none ever happening with the Sierra muzzleloaders at all, which is remarkable and very, very admirable. So what I'm going to be asking you folks to do is to authorize me to enter into an agreement so that they can begin to use the property at the appropriate time and bring it back to you for ratification, just like would happen with any other agreement.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we go into discussion, if there is, anybody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we move forward in allowing legal to enter into contract with Sierra muzzleloaders.
One second.
Do we have a discussion, questions, concerns, comments?
First of all, muzzleloaders there, I want to extend sincere condolences to the loss of your very important member. Hopefully the memories of happier times will heal the pain of his absence. As I mentioned several months ago, both here and at a Sierra muzzleloader meeting that you allowed me to attend, I'm a huge supporter of you guys. You all preserve history and you persevere, even in tough times. And I'm so happy that you've come back to the district to ask about the use of those parcels. You're a neighbor of all of us in this community. Sierra muzzleloaders are outstanding stewards of the land, extremely safe, secure in their activities, and this relationship provides the district the much needed shot in the arm for improving the district's image in the community. It's also really great that they preserve our Second Amendment rights. I really encourage a unanimous vote on the approval of this contract.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Just to make sure, we're not approving the contract or approving.
I'm sorry. That was my writing, to approve you to move forward in entering a contract.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and anybody else, comments, discussion?
How many years have we had a contract with you guys in the past? I mean, long-standing?
Aaron, do you have those numbers from when we were with the water district before?
Unfortunately, no. I joined the club just after we had moved to the other property. So I know it was probably around at least a decade or more. I know we were there for a very long time. Because our club is almost 40. So,
Yeah.
And
We joined in 95 and we were there at the property where we're.
I heard cannons going off 20 years ago, so.
Yes. That was
Oh,
that's good stuff. I would like to just say as an aside that in times of trouble, it's always good to know people who know how to use Canon. That's all I'm saying.
That's all right. Moving on. Shall we have the roll call vote, please?
Yes. President Bernay? Approved. Vice President Plum?
Approved.
Director Rose?
Yes, ma'am.
Director Ronenberg?
Absolutely.
Director Wright?
Woohoo, yes.
Okay.
This is.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
You.
You and legal counsel will and insurer will figure something out, and then we'll see you again.
Yes.
Aaron, we'll talk soon.
Great, thank you.
That brings us to item O. We're going through the whole alphabet here. Public records access guidelines. The board will discuss and possibly take action to adopt a draft public records policy attached to this agenda. You had a chance to look at it. Any questions or concerns?
May I mention very quickly before we get into this, this isn't really a policy. Public records is a statutory mechanism that people can then access certain records held by public agencies. This is meant to inform the public about how they can best make a request so that it's more efficient, better compliance, and that's what this is designed to do. It's designed to give them what they need, but at the same time, it doesn't change any of the district's duties and obligations to respond to any given request at all. I'll give you an example. For instance, somebody out there can ask for records but be somewhat vague. I don't address this in the policy, but at the same time, our staff will understand that it's our job to approach that person and to clarify their request. We have to help them find the records they actually are looking for. And the Public Records Act does not require them to do it perfectly the first time. They will work with us and we will work with them to find the records that they're interested in and do our best to make sure that they can obtain them.
Thank you. Thank you. I make a motion to adopt this draft public records guidelines. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconds. Director Ronenberg seconds. Is there any discussion, comments before the roll call vote?
Just that I find it very annoying that they insist on calling us Quincy LaPorte Road. They changed the name of LaPorte Road and they're calling it Quincy LaPorte. Our address here is Quincy.
May I mention that that's probably my fault, that I took that address off the website that's got that address. And what I mean is we're going to change that before it's posted.
You should
So
know.
is it Quincy LaPorte or LaPorte or Quincy?
Quincy LaPorte Road.
Oh.
Out the door.
Wow, yes, and everything.
But it's LaPorte Road.
LaPorte.
It went away.
Nope, Quincy LaPorte.
Shelby?
When did it go away? Kind of new sign out there.
Yes, you look at.
I'm
Fire,
sure our
fire,
tax
fire,
dollars
fire.
will be spent on
I
that.
think they need to get a sign.
And we just spray painted on there?
I saw it too, but I thought somebody didn't know where they were.
The day.
We're at the very end of the meeting, so it's a tiring process. We're almost there.
Okay, we're doing roll call.
We had a motion, we have a second. Let's do a roll call.
Okay, President Renee?
Approve.
President Plum?
Approve.
Director Bozen?
Approve.
Director Ronneberg?
Approve.
Director Wright?
Approved.
Thank you. That leaves us with item P, director's reports. Does anybody have a director's report?
I wrote something up. I just wrote that since I have became a board member, the staff has been great, always willing to answer my questions, and I hope the rest of you think the same. They're working hard to complete tasks and makes changes where needed, resulting in a great district. And on the domestic side, for the aerators in the pond, I think that's absolutely awesome because that is going to provide oxygen throughout the pond, which will take away the odor and taste smells that we have experienced in the past. So I'm happy with that. And that's a win for the domestic side. So I think that's all for tonight. Thank y'all.
Director Wright?
Anybody else?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You have a comment?
Go ahead.
So Director Fernay, I sent you an email on June 23rd requesting that an agenda item be added to August's meeting. Quote, initial board and public discussions about the possibility of the consolidation of South Feather Water and Power Agency and North Yuba Water District. I haven't heard back from you regarding this request. Given tonight's comments, past meeting comments, including just the other day at South Feathers board meetings, years of community discussion on this topic. For those of you who are new to the board, this has been discussed for a long time. And most importantly, the pressing need to ensure the water is safe and secure and kept here and we don't lose it. I'm asking again that this item be on the next month's agenda. The time has come for us to take control of the destiny of the water and not have something forced upon us by the state, because that's what potentially could happen. Or fiscal mismanagement, or current board or management fear, stubbornness, and negligence on this topic. It's time for us to fulfill a historic vision and do what's right for the community, for the greater community. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I went to, as a director's report, went to that stone soup that we have in Brownsville at the community center and sat at a table full of my constituents. Rackerby was in the house in full force, and just discussed water with them to see if they had any problems, questions, and I go there periodically. And everybody was happy with the situation with the water district. And you were talking, I've never experienced bad tasting water in Rackerby. Are we on a different line?
I don't know about that, but when the pond gets low, I've had bad water because there was no aeration.
Yeah, are we on something different, or are we at the same waters?
It's the same water. It all comes down and it splits off. You know, it comes this way and goes that way, but it's the same water.
We were easier in Rackerby. We're used to lesser.
When you're down at hill, you're down that steep hill too, so you have a lot more pressure, so it might keep your stuff washed out more or something.
But anyway, so everybody was pleased with the water district and how everything's going.
Well, I finally, went up the ditch to the start and it looked good. I mean, to see water in it, for me, I mean, that was pretty awesome. Domestic side, I've welded in a bunch of water treatment facilities in the Bay Area for a lot of years. I was not expecting what I seen up in the middle of a mountain. It was a nice, clean facility. I walked in there was no smell. I mean, it was impressive. It was as nice or nicer than any treatment plant I've ever been in. And that was impressive. for me to see it, because that's not what I was expecting. So that's all.
Thank you. I have a little bit of a longer one. The district purpose is to deliver water to our customers. The voters replaced the prior board with the current one because the district was not fulfilling its promise to our irrigation and domestic water customers. This board inherited a deeply troubled district, damaged by mismanagement that plagued the district with lawsuits, alienated the district business partners, and allowed the district water systems to fall into nearly hopeless repair. Our staff suffered from low morale. All this has changed. In the last 6 months, we have accomplished repairs to the district water conveyance system that has allowed the first irrigation delivery in years. We have new domestic water tanks in construction. We have new filters for the treatment plant, aerators for the treatment ponds, all of which improve drinking water supply and quality. We have designed a budget with room for the big repairs we need, and with new leadership, employee morale has improved. Despite these accomplishments, I have heard that some are worried about our future. We all know that we face many challenges, but from where I sit, we're steaming ahead in the right direction into a bright future, like one of those ocean liners. We set it on a course, and it's hard to derail. It's not like a train. We are small, but we're looking ahead. We are working on a plan to improve the fire hydrant system and to get the district ready for wildfire. We're working on a mixed engineering plan to repair and expand the Fork Sound Ditch to improve our infrastructure dramatically. We have already received improvement grants for some of the capital improvement projects, with more grant proposals in the writing stages. We're working to evaluate the strength of our water permits, a problem that has been neglected for over 10 years. Next week, we will begin meeting with engineers to plan the off-season repair surge. You name it, we're on it. That's my new motto. Just because this is more than prior administrations did, we can and will do even more. Recently, I attended a good governance class taught by the California Special Districts Association. I learned many useful things about strategic planning that I want to discuss with the board in meetings come ahead. Water is gold. We know this around here. It's precious. It is life. We will take good care of it. We're set on our way to becoming the best little water district that we can be, and it's quite a privilege to be part of this journey. We have great staff, we have great partners, regionally and locally. Together, we can fulfill the promise to consistently supply irrigation water and top quality drinking water to our customers now and into the future. That was my director's report. There is an opportunity for final public comment. The board provides the public an opportunity to address the district board of directors with additional comment about matters on the agenda. And it's important to note that repeating comment provided at the start of the meeting is not considered additional comment. Closing public comment is limited to no more than 5 minutes total, shared equally by all members of the public who wish to speak. So if anybody wishes to speak, let me know. Let's open the floor.
I sit on this board,
and Charles Minich.
I sat on this board during a very, very difficult time, and I was the only director that voted to allow the muzzleloaders to use the water district's property. I was voted down, and so I want to thank you very much for correcting that wrong and moving that forward. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Mr. Wingy?
Mine's to the website, so I don't know if it necessarily relates, so I do apologize sincerely. There's a comment made about also like having Facebook, you know, for a resource, and I'm not into it. I don't even have no Facebook. But honestly, like I would, and no pun at none of the elders, because like my uncle in retirement, he just always rushed to the PO box like at 9 a.m. and it's like, hey, they don't put the mail out till 2, you know. So I don't always go, and then if there's a special meeting that happens kind of out of routine, which is totally fine, you know, I might not check the PO box for a couple of weeks and then I miss a meeting. So having Facebook or just a regular website to announce that would be cool for me.
Thank you. There's two more. Mr. Sharp, you go first.
Oh, okay. One, where is the water permits research that person with their report? I'm just wondering, has it come up with? And two, as I see it, Alton is hesitant about how he asks questions. You can see it in this meeting. That's because legal counsel is waiting for opportunity, isn't it? The water wants to be safe and secure. That is what I name to answer your what do I do? Safety and security for the water.
Thank you. I don't know your last name. I forgot.
Berg.
Berg. Miss Berg.
I just want to say thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. You have an idea how many years I've been working on land acquisition for the club since we moved out of the big area. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. We won't let you down.
Are you going to be at the Mountain Fair?
Well, the club will be there. I myself have my 50th class reunion. I can't really miss. Don't get many more.
You can't get to both places at one time?
Well, I might make it on Sunday. I'll be back by Sunday. But the club is planning on Saturday. But we just lost our very important Larry Badger. He's been my rock. I mean, he knows the ins and outs of our club and he's always negotiated our contracts in the past. I was really looking forward to him being in on this. But I do want to say that the day he passed, I talked to him that morning to tell him that we did have a contract in the works. So at least he knows.
Yeah, good.
That it's all good. So thank you so much again, you guys. We really appreciate it. And thank you too for having our back.
I did.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That gets us to adjourn this meeting. A last tiny little fun, yet unimportant thing. There's the secret ingredient to the flowers that are on the table. It's irrigation water. It is 7:27. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at PlumasLakeSelfStorage.com.